By show of hands, how many of y'all have been either labeled or perceived to be something that you are not by either maybe somebody that you know or even somebody that you don't know? Every hand in the room should be raised, including my own, because it's happened to everybody at least once in their lifetime. Most people will perceive you to be something off a first glance, even if they don't know you. They might perceive you off even little things as maybe even the way you dress or the way you act in public or even maybe the way you look. Hi, I'm Chance Mushawek. I'm originally from a small town outside of Buffalo, New York called Olean, New York. Me and my family moved to Texas about 12 years ago for my mom's job, and we haven't thought about leaving since. Today I'm going to let y'all in on some of the aspects of my life that maybe I've kept hidden from y'all, or maybe y'all didn't even know about me. The first object I would like to present is my Brookhaven baseball jersey. The reason I chose this as my first object is because it's what I perceive myself to be in general, which is a college baseball player. I perceive myself to be this mainly because it's what I've been working for the past 15 years of my life. From the countless hours at the cages or being at the field, fielding ground balls, I put my blood, sweat, and tears into the sport, and I think that having this jersey really just hammers home the fact that I've achieved my biggest goal in my life, which is becoming a baseball player. The second reason I chose my jersey is because this is how I believe that most of my closest friends and family perceive me to be, because they know how hard I've wanted it and how hard I've worked for it. So I think they're all really happy, and that's the way they perceive me. The second object I would like to present is a photo of Bill Buckner in the 1986 World Series. For those of y'all that might not know, Bill Buckner was a first baseman for the Boston Red Sox, and in 1986 they played the New York Mets in the World Series. In the bottom of the ninth inning, a routine ground ball was hit to Buckner, and he let it go between his legs, costing the Red Sox the World Series that year. From then on, for the rest of Buckner's career, he was labeled as a failure, and he didn't really lose that stigma all the way up until his death a couple of years ago. I myself consider myself to be a fearless person. However, I'll jump off cliffs, I'll ride on the back of speedboats on a tube going 40 miles an hour, but there is one thing I do fear, which is failing. My fear of failure is pretty big because I don't want to end up like Bill Buckner and mess up just one little thing and then be labeled as a failure for the rest of my life. However, on a happier note, I feel like my fear of failure has really propelled me to where I am today, because I think that if I didn't fear failure, I wouldn't be as hardworking and want to achieve the goals that I have the way I want to. The third object I would like to present is my President's Award from Brookhaven College for academic excellence in the fall semester. I like to present this because I believe, because I'm a college athlete, that most people may perceive me to be dumb or less intelligent than them because they think he just plays sports, he doesn't do schoolwork and all that, but that's not true at all. My President's Award means quite a bit to me because I don't have all that much time to work on my schoolwork because we have baseball all the time, at least once every day usually. So on any free time I have, I'm working on schoolwork, and I think that this just hammers home the fact that I've earned it. Fourth object I would like to present is my pal's jacket from high school. I actually didn't choose my object, this object. I had my mom choose this object because I wanted someone to pick an object based on what they would perceive me to be in their own eyes. For those of you that don't know what PALS is, it's a organization at my high school where we go off campus during our class period to the middle school and some of the elementary schools for kids that might be in foster care, their parents neglect them, or they just don't have that many friends in school. So what we'll do is for about 30 to 45 minutes every day, we'll go eat lunch with them just so they have a friend to talk to for even just the littlest amount of time in the day. My mom told me that she chose this for me because it's the way that she perceives me to be, which is a good person who puts others before his own self. And that really means a lot to me because I do consider myself to be a really good person, and I'll do a lot for my friends. I'll put anything off for them. In conclusion, I hope y'all gotten to know a little bit more about me, other than being the random name in the Team 4 discussion board early in the semester. I'd like to leave you guys off with a quote by Albert Einstein, and he says, "Learn from yesterday, live for tomorrow, hope for the future." Whoops, I messed that one up. He says, "Learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow." Thank y'all for taking the time to learn a little bit more about me. Thank y'all for taking the time to learn. Dang it. Thank y'all for taking the time to listen and learn a little bit more about me. By show of hands, how many of y'all have either been labeled or perceived to be something that you aren't by maybe somebody that you do know or even somebody that you don't know? Every hand in the room should be raised, including my own, because it's happened to all of us at least once or twice in our lifetime. Most people will perceive you to be something off even just one little glance. They might see you for a second and there they have a perception of you. They might think of you, whoops. By show of hands, how many of y'all have been labeled or perceived to be something that you aren't by somebody that you may know or even somebody that you don't know? Every hand in the room should be raised, including my own, because it's happened to all of us at least once or twice in our lifetime. Many people will perceive you off their first glance. It could be a quick second, and they'll already have a perception of you. It could be from the way you dress, to the way you look, or even the way that they saw you acting at the time they saw you. Hi, I'm Chance Mushawek. I'm originally from a small town outside of Buffalo, New York, called Olean, New York. Me and my family moved to Waco, Texas about 12 years ago for my mom's job, and we haven't thought about leaving since. The first object I would like to present to y'all is my Brookhaven baseball jersey. The reason I chose this as my first object, first off, is because it's how I perceive myself to be, which is a college baseball player. I put the last 15 years of my life into the sport. I've spent countless hours at the cages, countless hours at the field, fielding ground balls, trying to perfect my craft, and I think that this is how I should be perceived first off. The second reason I chose this is because it's the way that my closest friends and family would perceive me to be too. They know how hard I've worked for it and how much time and effort I've put into it, so they know that's how I like to be perceived. The second object that I would like to present to you is a photo of Bill Buckner in the 1986 World Series. For those of you all that don't know, Bill Buckner was a first baseman for the Boston Red Sox, and in 1986 they played the New York Mets in the World Series. In the bottom of the ninth inning, a slow, weak hit ground ball, some may even consider routine, was hit to Buckner. He let it go right between his legs, and the Mets came around to score and ended up winning the World Series the next game. Since that incident, Bill Buckner has been labeled a failure in his life, and he hasn't even lost that stigma yet, and he has died a couple years ago, sadly. I myself consider myself to be a very fearless person. I'll jump off cliffs, I'll ride on the back of a boat in a little plastic pontoon going 40 miles an hour, but there is one thing I fear. It's failing, like Bill Buckner did. The reason I fear failing is because I don't want to mess up one little thing in my life, fail at it, and become labeled as a failure like Bill Buckner did. However, there is a brighter side to this because I feel that my fear of failure has also contributed to all my success I've had in my life. I feel this way because there's rarely anything I've failed at, from being school, sports, really anything. I haven't failed at very few things. So I contribute my fear of failure to being very high on the list of reasons why I'm very successful, and I'm glad that I have that fear. The third object I would like to present to y'all is my President's Award for academics in the fall semester at Brookhaven. The reason I chose this is because I'm an athlete in college, I feel like many people may perceive me to be not as intelligent as them, or maybe not as smart because they think, oh, he doesn't do his work because he's an athlete. But that's just not true at all. I have to do all my work, even with the very limited time I have to do it. Since I play baseball, I do have very limited time to do any schoolwork because we're either at the field all day, we have a game, or I can't always be in class because of it. So I think this really means a lot to me because of it just shows how much work I do put into my academics, and it makes me feel very proud of myself because it just proves that it's everybody wrong who thinks I'm not as smart as them, that I am pretty smart, and hard work pays off. The last object I would like to present is my pal's jacket from high school. I actually did not choose this item myself. I asked my mom to pick it on as she thought best represented me in her own perception, and this was the one. For those of y'all that don't know what PALS is a elective at my high school that we go off campus every day for kids that maybe don't have a family of their own. They might be in foster care, their family neglects them, or maybe they're getting bullied at school and they don't have very many friends. So what we do is we'll go off for about 30 to 45 minutes in our lunch period, and we'll sit and talk with these kids just to make sure that they have a friend for just, even if it's 30 minutes, just to make sure that they just have a friend for just a little bit amount of time in the day. It makes them feel really good about themselves. And I asked my mom why she chose this as the way she perceives me. Her answer was because she perceives me to be a good person who will put other people's problems in front of his own, and I feel like that does represent me very well because I do a lot for my friends. If any of my friends are ever in trouble, I will go help them, even if it's out of my way to do so. In conclusion, I hope you all have gotten to know a little bit more about me than besides being the random name in the Team 4 discussion board at the very beginning of the semester. I would like to leave you all off with a quote from Albert Einstein who says, "Learn from yesterday, live for today, and hope for tomorrow." Thank you all for listening, watching, and Thank you all for taking the time to listen and get to know a little bit more about my life. By show of hands, how many of y'all have been either labeled or perceived to be something that you aren't by either somebody that you know or even maybe somebody that you don't know? Every hand in the room should be raised, including my own, because it's happened to all of us a couple times in our lifetime, most likely. Hi, I'm Chance Mushweg. I'm originally from a small town about 45 minutes outside of Buffalo, New York, called Olean, New York. We moved to Texas when I was in the 4th grade about 12 years ago for my mom's job, and we haven't thought about leaving since. Today I'm going to let y'all in on some of the aspects of my life that maybe I haven't told you about, you might not know about me, or maybe I haven't even disclosed because they're personal. The first object I would like to present is my Brookhaven baseball jersey. The reason I chose this jersey first off is because of the way I perceive myself to be, which is a college baseball player. For the past 15 to 16 years of my life, this is all I've done. This is the only goal that I've wanted to achieve. I've put my blood, sweat, and tears into it. From countless hours at the cages or countless hours at the field fielding ground balls, just having the jersey now, just hammers home the fact that I have achieved my goal in life, becoming a college baseball player. The second reason I chose this jersey is because it's the way I think my closest friends and family perceive me to be as well, because they know how hard I've worked for it and how long I've strived to become a player, and they recognize that. The second object I would like to present is a photo of Bill Buckner in the 1986 World Series. For those of y'all that may not know, Bill Buckner was a first baseman for the Boston Red Sox, and in 1986, they played the New York Mets in the World Series. A slow, weak-hit ground ball, some may even consider routine, was hit to Buckner in the bottom of the 9th inning, and he let it go between his legs, letting the New York Mets score runs, and they ended up winning that game, and they won the next game. Many people blame the entire loss of the World Series on Bill Buckner, and they labeled him as a failure for the rest of his career, and really the rest of his life. Bill Buckner died a couple of years ago, but he was still considered a failure really up until the day that he died. I myself consider myself to be a very fearless person. I'll jump off cliffs. I'll ride on a pontoon on the back of the boat, going 40 miles an hour. But there is one thing I do fear, which is just failing, like Bill Buckner.